Okay, punch the button. Hi, this is Jim,
And Ralph.
and we welcome you to Psychology Takeaway, the podcast where we look at new things in psychology or old things that might be relevant today and try to make them relevant to you.
And to us.
Hey, Ralph, how are you today?
I'm doing well today, Jim.
And do you notice anything different about our studio here today?
Well, I noticed that we have our grand and knowledgeable amanuensis here, Alec, who is recording us on video.
No kidding. The eyes can see you, and I can see myself up on that screen. It's kind of scary, isn't it?
It is. We need
A beautiful
pretty girl,
Yeah,
yes.
Okay. We're going to try this as an experiment in the fall. Alex, right now. Alex, why don't you stick your head in and say hi? Hi, Alex. We're going to try this as an experiment and maybe start doing what we call them, vodcasts,
Vlogs.
whatever. Yeah. Anyhow, today we're going to kind of follow up on something that we sort of opened up last week, and then we will continue with next week. We're recording this a couple days early so that you can have a good break on Friday, the 4th of July. So this will be up today, the 2nd of July. And then on the 11th, we're going to have Christine Cooper back.
Yes. And she does stuff in neuroscience.
Mm-hmm. And right now she's working with something that's tied into marijuana as a therapeutic, I believe.
Okay. And you can make the argument that marijuana for certain conditions can be therapeutic.
That argument could be made. You're right. Now, we looked at some stats a couple weeks ago, and about 500,000 people die every year from tobacco smoke, right?
Right. And right at the moment, emphysema has taken over as the largest chronic condition from things like COPD and so on and so forth. So, it is very much exacerbated by inhaling tobacco smoke.
Mm-hmm. And we know some people, Ralph, who would say, well, marijuana is good for you. It's a natural substance.
Yeah, and there is a caution in that, and we'll get back to that caution, but we can say, okay, it's a natural substance. Well, tobacco is a natural substance. Tobacco is not good for you. We know that.
Arsenic is a natural substance.
Yeah, and it's definitely not good for you.
Yeah. So that argument about, tobacco bad, marijuana good, maybe doesn't really fly. Although I suppose we should have some people from the marijuana industry come to the podcast someday and they can make their case, right?
Yeah, and my take on that, Jim, is that when we look at it and we say, okay, marijuana could be good for you, could be therapeutic, it could replace your addiction to alcohol, but that's like saying it could replace one addiction with another.
Right.
We could say, well, you can start smoking marijuana, and the marijuana industry might say it never leads to anything else.
Kind of like the tobacco industry did back in the 50s and early 60s, yeah.
And then you say, well, wait a minute. People start off on milk and then they end up as alcoholics, not milkaholics.
Uh-huh. I think I have to scratch my head on that one. Okay. The idea of it being natural or being therapeutic or, it's, not addictive. Well, I think under Learn More, you'll see 2 or 3 videos that I put up that suggest that it's, quite addictive. And particularly with young people, it seems to be a kind of a gateway drug.
Yeah, and that, is okay. You open the gate to marijuana, and the next thing you know, you're saying,
Hello to
this
fentanyl.
this little ecstasy pill will help me in the club. I can dance on it, and then the next thing you know, you're saying, well, I took 1.5 grams of fentanyl and died, but hey, who's counting?
Last week we did our podcast on stupidity, and we were not talking about low IQ, were we?
No, we were not. We were talking really about people making bad choices.
Yeah, and we have a clip here that we can play of a couple of comedians from the 70s. A couple of guys named Cheech and Chong. Have you heard about them, Ralph?
I've heard about them, and I have seen some of their stuff, and it's pretty funny if you have the right sense of the absurd.
It's pretty absurd. So, Alex, why don't you press the button?
Smoking since I was born, man. I could smoke anything, man. Like I smoked that Michoacan, man, Acapulco Gold, man. I even smoked that tight stick,
Tide stick?
Yeah, that stuff is tied to a stick,
Oh,
Yeah,
Tide stick.
Yeah, that didn't even do nothing to me, man. I could probably smoke this whole joint, man, and still walk away, man. Wouldn't be no problem at all, man.
Okay, I don't know about smoking that whole joint and still walking away. Certainly the idea of driving, smoking the joint isn't a good one, is it?
No, it isn't. Talking about making bad decisions. And
Hey, man, I can do this whole thing. I've been smoking all my life from it. Okay. No, I don't think we want to end up with like Cheech or Chong, although probably it wouldn't be bad to have their bankroll.
that could be true. Although maybe they smoked some of their bankroll too.
Yeah, that's probably so. We talked a little bit, we were laughing at Cheech and Chong, but the long-term consequences of marijuana smoking are not particularly great. If you smoke for a number of years, we know with tobacco, you're likely to get, the probability is high that you might get cancer. But with marijuana, there's some different kinds of maladies that you might get.
Yeah, and one of the things that some researchers have found just in the last couple of years is that there seems to be in marijuana a chemical not yet identified that gives you, if not directly cancer, it opens up holes in your lungs, which is not a good thing to have happen to you.
No, not at all. And the thing with Cheech and Chong, it kind of illustrates it might open up some holes in your brain too, because we have found that using marijuana shrinks the brain, right?
Right. It reduces brain mass by a significant amount.
Yeah.
And, basically, you're still in your skull, you still have cerebrospinal fluid. So the brain mass shrinking is filled in by cerebrospinal fluid, but
You got
it
less gray
basically
matter.
means that you might see significant memory loss. You might see reduced computational ability,
Yeah.
reduced thinking skills.
Wherever the reduction in brain cells might be, that's going to be a corresponding behavioral correlate to it. How about heart disease and stroke?
Still significant with inhaling smoke. And one of the things that, people who research this subject have pointed out is people who smoke tobacco inhale, but people who smoke marijuana inhale much more deeply and hold it longer.
Yeah.
And
Well, that's the deal, right?
that's the deal. That's how you get high, but it's also how it gives it the chemicals in the stuff longer time
To open up those little holes in the lungs.
to open up the little holes in the lungs or to reduce your brain mass or whatever. So the problem with
So lung problems, emphysema problems, brain problems, heart problems.
stroke problems.
Okay. So folks that say that marijuana is, okay, it's harmless, have to explain some things to us, right?
Yeah, and harmless, I mean, to me, harmless than what?
Okay, good point. People could argue, hey, it's legal. I'm not doing anything illegal. Well, alcohol's legal. Cigarettes and nicotine are legal, and they're not particularly good for you, right?
Yeah,
tongue-in-cheek
those
there.
two things taken in excess are not good for you.
Right.
And marijuana, probably taken in excess,
Probably not.
is also not good for you, and maybe even worse than the other two legal substances. And of course, one of the things that we're talking about, Jim, so far, is the fact that right at the moment, what everybody's saying is, oh, it's a natural substance. Well, yes, if what you got was the kind of marijuana that was around in Cheech and Chong era in the 70s. But today, we have synthesized THC, which is the active ingredient in marijuana. And a lot of companies are basically saying, we've got this less than good marijuana. What are we going to do? Well, we spray it with THC. We put it on the market. Everybody tries it and says, oh, man, did I ever get high? And you end up saying, hey, yeah, that's good, except what you're getting is not a real natural substance. You're getting a synthesized
marijuana. Okay. Also, if we go back to Cheech and Chong in the 1970s, the stuff apparently that's on the availability market now is a lot stronger than the stuff.
It's been genetically bred to be stronger. And then sometimes the marketers will say, well, we know this is really good stuff.
Good stuff, man.
And they spray it with the synthesized THC. So it turns out to be really good stuff. And people say, oh, yeah, I want to get that again. What do you mean it's twice the price of other stuff? Well, I guess I'm worth it.
I think part of the, no, I can't say glamour, maybe part of the acceptability now of marijuana goes back to things that celebrities are saying. One of the things that we have under Learn More, and I don't think you've seen it, Ralph, but it's worth looking at. Why do athletes and various celebrities use marijuana? There's a really great clip. And it's everything from what we've talked about, relaxation and, being groovy, being in there. But Bill Clinton said, yeah, I smoked marijuana.
He didn't inhale, though.
Didn't inhale. Yeah, you remember that one, Alex. Yeah. But, hey, if a president can do it, I guess it's okay.
I guess it's okay.
I think Obama admitted to smoking weed in college as well.
Oh, okay.
But I think he didn't say he didn't inhale, so he had it figured out.
Yeah. Well, George Washington chopped down a cherry tree, but he apologized for it.
There's a good chance George Washington also smoked marijuana since the hemp industry was very big then. We wouldn't have gotten here without hemp.
So, what do you know that you can contribute to this conversation there?
I didn't know that there was a synthetic THC like sprays. I have heard that they use a lot of like growing like additives when they're growing it straight into it. So that's definitely a concern. And
well, when Miss Cooper comes in a week and a half, we'll ask her about it.
I'd love to be video DJing for you then too. That'd be great. I'd love to hear
I know
those
that at Rutgers, when I was doing my doctoral dissertation, I was going to do it on memory and marijuana, but I had a terrible time getting THC. I could get it from the NIMH people, but the Rutgers police did not want me to have that in my lab on campus.
Huh.
You know,
Buzzkills.
you could go down to the corner and get as much as you wanted. Anyhow, so I ended up looking at memory from a different point of view. So
Yeah, unfortunately, making it illegal for so many years has really stifled research.
Well, and the other thing that is happening now is, we, I think, are either at 17 or 18 outlets for marijuana here in Mount Pleasant, in a little town of 45,000 people.
It's almost as many distributors as there are churches, I think. It's
Yeah.
crazy.
So you say to yourself, okay, well, we've got all these outlets because it's legal. And now I see a couple of them are starting to advertise for reduced prices. So the competition is getting a little het up, as it were.
When they start advertising reduced potency, let me know. I'm trying to find those mids, right? Jeez. If you smoked one like that Cheech and Chong had in that picture, you'd probably die today. That's crazy.
Yeah. Well, on that note, Alex, push the
Outro?
the outro button. Well, this has been fun, Ralph.
Jim, don't make me laugh.
Easy, boy. Okay, we'll see you in a week and a half, and have a safe, non-drug filled 4th of July.
Little fireworks, maybe, but
Yeah,
none inside your head.
very good.